G'day everyone. Today we're going to take a look at one of my favourite games, F-117a. This is the second one of the games that we got in the Combat Action Pack, and it's a flight simulator, obviously about the F-117a Nighthawk aircraft. This was actually a follow-on from a first game called F-19, which was actually made when the F-117a was still secret, and the only information that was available was the fact that there was a stealth aircraft, but nothing about it at all. This game is actually basically an update to the F-19 game. So some graphics have been updated, and the F-117a plane itself has been put in place of the F-19, but otherwise it's actually very, very similar. So today we're going to fly two missions. We're going to fly one mission in basically what turns out to be the equivalent of the old F-19 plane. This game offers two aircraft to fly. The first one is the Microprose F-117a, and the second one is the Lockheed one, the actual plane. The Microprose one carries more weapons, and it carries a gun, so you can shoot down other aircraft. And the Lockheed one only has 2 bomb bays instead of 4, and it has no gun, but it is much more stealthy, so you can get away with hiding and evading a bit more with that plane. The first one we'll play with the Microprose F-117a, and we'll go on a strike mission in, say, a standard war, and we'll see how we can go. So let's just pick that. Okay, let's see what kind of mission we get. It takes just a moment for it to decode the mission orders. It's really just making up a mission for you to do, basically. Okay, depart from Abu Dhabi. Destroy a tank farm. And destroy an oil rig. And then land back at Bahrain. Okay, that seems like a fairly reasonable mission. You can hover over the various sites around and find out what sort of missiles and radar ranges they have, and what sort of hostile aircraft there'll be. So that one looks like it will have F-5 fighters. Let's see if there are any others. Over there, there's an airbase, but there's no fighter information, so there doesn't seem to be any fighters taking off from there. There might be some F-4 Phantoms coming from here. It's a little bit odd that they're American aircraft that are hostile, but I suppose that's just the region we're in. We're in the Persian Gulf, so perhaps this is a bit of an unrealistic scenario, but we'll see how we go. Let's go and select our weapons. Okay, now fuel air. The first was a tank farm, and I know that the tank farms you can take out with the Maverick Missile. Now, the Maverick Missile is good because it's pretty effective against most targets, although it's not effective against everything. So you should be careful what you pick as a target for this missile, and it's probably a good idea to carry some bombs. Like, say, in the case of the second target, which was the oil rig, I'd say we'll probably stick with the cluster bombs because they're often the only ones effective against that particular target. I know that sometimes the Maverick isn't effective against things that the cluster bombs are, so we'll keep those. We'll change the slot 4 to Maverick as well, just so we can shoot at any SAM radars or missile boats we have to come across. And we'll take along some anti-air weaponry so that if we have to, we can dogfight. That's actually quite an unusual thing to have to do, but in a stealth fighter, because stealth fighters aren't really designed for it. And the Lockheed plane doesn't have any capability of launching air-to-air missiles or use a gun. So it has no anti-air defenses at all. Okay, I think that we're good. Those will be the weapons we'll go with. Let's go to the hangar and take off and go to the mission. One interesting thing to note is this game actually does support ad-lib sound, but on my computer it crashes at the moment that it says cleared for takeoff, which is rather annoying. Be prepared for your ears to bleed, because I'm about to turn on the engines and they make rather a horrible noise with the PC speaker. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, okay, we'll turn that off. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's get underway and get ready to take on the mission. So it takes a little while to fly to the target. So what we'll do is we'll just time-lapse the flight between here and any targets that we run into. So we'll just fly for a little bit in fast mode. There is a time accelerate function in this game, but unlike Silent Service, it doesn't really accelerate time enough to really prevent you from having to wait for a period of time. It's not really a bad thing, because flying some distance is actually a part of this game. I think it adds to the tension, but for the purposes of a video, I think it's probably better that we time-lapse that portion. I love how detailed the world is with all those oil rigs and ships below us. That's just so awesome. Yeah, it's quite a nostalgic game for me. The introduction with the PC speaker in particular, because our old PC didn't have a sound card. That was basically what we heard when we played this game every time. And yeah, I know it doesn't really hold up so well today, but we thought the introduction for this game was pretty good. Seems I've been spotted by that missile boat behind me, so what I'll try and do is evade. I would rather not use missiles on it so that I can take out these SAM radars further ahead. Hopefully I'll get far enough away. Actually, we might take out this plane ahead of us before we get too excited. F5 Tiger. Just because I don't want to have to deal with it when I'm trying to take out other targets. Now we're going to use the Sidewinder missile. It's generally fairly effective as long as you get close enough. Okay, we shot him down. I think we can return to stealth and hopefully just go on with our mission. There's a SAM radar ahead and another one to the left a bit in the island that I think I'll need to take out, because they have quite long radar ranges and long missile ranges. In combination with that missile boat there, they're often quite dangerous, so I definitely will take them out. It's an oddly silent game without the engine sounds on, but they're so annoying that you just can't have the engine sound on. I'm often quite impressed with how good the digitized speech is. Even coming over the PC speaker, it sounds pretty good even on modern on real hardware. In DOSBox, obviously, it sounds quite good as well. Okay, let's just line up attacking this SAM radar. The Maverick Missile will be good for that. They don't seem to have spotted us yet, which is a good sign. It helps if you fly low and a little bit slower. I also really like how you get a little display from the missile of where it's tracking. Okay. So that's the oil rig we have to destroy later. But we'll take out the missile boat and the other SAM radar, and we'll save the last Maverick Missile for the tank farm that we need to destroy as well. It seems that Cargo Island SAM radar has detected us, so we better be careful. You can see there's a missile there. A missile with a yellow outline like that and a red dot in the middle means it's a radar-guided one. If it's the other way around, then it's an infrared one. So we'll launch the chaff. The chaff should throw the missile off our course, and hopefully it won't hurt us. Okay. Oh, they're launching another missile. I'll just try to throw off the missile if I can. Okay, we'll take out that one. Okay, once we get rid of the SAM radar, we should be relatively safe to do a bombing run here. But to avoid those aircraft behind me, I'm going to actually go away and destroy the tank farm first somewhere else, and that should hopefully distract them. It looks like the aircraft have found me though. So I'll try to evade them, but otherwise I might have to shoot them down. The F-117a, even the Microprose one, is not particularly good at dogfighting, but it is reasonable if you use the missiles. I think I might be lucky enough to have evaded them, but we'll see if the tracking light goes off. That little tracking light indicates whether they've actually got a target lock on you and they know where you are. Yeah, it basically just means that their radar is currently tracking you. It seems that they've lost their tracking signal, so we should be alright. Okay, I'm going to turn away from that missile boat there a little bit. Because I don't particularly want to be detected by it. I don't have enough missiles to take out that missile boat and then still have enough for my primary target. Now the missile boat has spotted us, so we should try and get a bit more distance between us and it. It will be able to spot us for a little while, so it hasn't quite got a tracking lock. There it is, it has now. So we'll try to get a bit further away. I'm flying as low as the plane's computer will let me fly. I can see there's also a missile on the way, so when that gets closer, I'll have to launch a chaff just so I don't get hit by it. The radar-guided missiles are probably less dangerous than the infrared ones, although the infrared ones are a little bit directional. The radar ones obviously have the problem that you being a stealth fighter, they don't get much of a radar return, so they can't track you very well. But if you're doing something that's particularly unstealthy, they will find you and hit you. The infrared ones, they lock onto your engines, so they can see the heat coming out of the exhaust to your engines. Now, whilst the F-117a has got a reduced exhaust ports, it does still have them, so that it can be tracked by the infrared. So I'd say, but the only real direction that's really effective from is from behind. Like it's not so easy to see the engine heat from in front or from the sides. You can see those planes basically went exactly where I was. So it's a good thing that I got out of that area pretty quickly. Okay, we're just going to close in on this tank farm and use our missile against that. We might have to shoot down some of these planes so that we can take on our secondary target. Just so that we can do it without being attacked by them. But hopefully that won't be a big problem. We'll see where they are when we actually get to our secondary target. Okay, missile away. We'll turn around. Flying quite low to the ground, we might get a bit of altitude as well once we're at it. You get to see the houses a bit closer than you probably really wanted to. Okay. Right.
Target hit.
You can see the autopilot marker there has shifted to where the secondary target is. And pretty much all of the enemy planes are coming pretty much directly over here. So what we'll try and do is stealth up and hopefully we'll take down one of the planes as we go past. But hopefully they'll all go over there and... Ooh. I think I got lucky to dodge those missiles there. I'm just going to have to shoot down a couple of these aircraft before I can reasonably go and do a bombing run on that second target. Now this is clearly something... Oh shit! I was too slow, and now I've lost my autopilot, which is... It's not great, but... Oh, yeah, these guys are going to be a thorn in my side. Taking a missile hit. Normally that would destroy most aircraft, but for the purposes of this game, they made you a little bit tougher than that. Let's see if we can... The Tomcats are a bit difficult to shoot down, but we'll see how we go. We are out of missiles, so the only thing left to do now is to use the guns. I think I'm just going to have to try and shoot at him. But that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. Because aircraft like the Tomcat can actually outmaneuver a little stealth bomb like this. And it's pretty likely that I'll probably stall. So he's turning and burning pretty hard. I'm not going to hit him. And I've gone up fairly high, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my altitude. And we have to go and find our way back to our secondary target. And then find our way all the way home without the avionics system that tells us where to go. That's a pretty big problem. And I don't have the jammers either. Although I found that they generally they generally decrease your stealth more than anything else. So I don't know that they're necessarily that useful. Okay, so let's just switch maps and see where I'm going. Okay, I can see where the target roughly is. So I'm going to have to turn that way. It looks like it's pretty close to Carg Island. Just at a guess. Yes, I still get the lines on the map, so that's good. Still seeing that oil tanker. Okay, there's our secondary target. This is it. Okay, we're going to use a 2 cluster. Yeah, or a cluster bomb. I think it's this way. We've got to get some altitude because we pretty much can't drop bombs when we're close to the ground because we'll blow ourselves up. It's generally not a good idea to blow ourselves up. It's bad enough we got hit by a missile. I think we're high enough. It seems that we have managed to lose the enemy aircraft, so that's a good sign. And luckily we do have 2 bombs in case the first one doesn't hit. Now, so how we do a bombing run, we've got enough altitude. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can do a dive bomb. So that involves getting quite a bit of altitude and then diving down on the target while it's releasing it. The manual for the game tells you how to do that. I've never been able to do it myself. But with bombs like this, there's a little diamond on the screen there, in the middle roughly where the nose of the plane is. Your job is to keep the nose of the plane inside that diamond. And that red bar across the top shrinks, and when it gets down to its minimum size, that's the point that you need to launch the bomb. We're almost at our zone. Almost. Been detected, but we're in the middle of a bomb drop, so we don't really want to... There we go. Bombs away. Let's get altitude down again, so hopefully we can stealth up again. Okay, we've hit our target now.
Target hit.
Yes, target hit indeed. Very good. We're going to change maps so that we can see which way we need to go. I can see we've got to go roughly south, which is 180 degrees on the bearing indicator. If we go a little bit further, say to the west, that will line us up, because all of the airfields, they line up north-south, and you roughly want to be going north or south when you're trying to land. I think there is a convention if you're a proper pilot, but in this game it doesn't actually matter which way you land, as long as you actually land on the runway. Okay, well, it's just going to take us a little while to fly there. We'll gain a little bit of altitude just so that we've got a bit of something to work with when we have to land. We actually need time to slow down so that we don't just go ploughing into the ground like a dart. It seems that we're tracked, but we've been tracked by someone that's quite distant, so that gives us plenty of time to escape. And just looking at the map, those red dots are planes, so we should be far enough away. If we accelerate to maximum speed, they shouldn't be able to catch us, hopefully. Now, I'm pretty sure Bahrain was where we had to land. So I think what we'll do is we'll just check that. Return to Bahrain. Okay, so that's the airbase there. And the bad guys aren't too close behind us, so luckily that's not going to be a big problem. If we don't want to be ascending anymore, we need to slow down. We're not quite close enough to slow down properly. Don't want it to lose all my altitude. That would be bad. We need to get ourselves lined up north-south so we can actually land on the runway properly. Don't want to crash off into the buildings there. That'd be pretty dreadful if you get to the end of the mission and you die just landing at your own base. Okay, we need to slow down quite a lot now, so we're going to put our gear down.
Cleared to land.
You notice the gear light's flashing. That's because we're going way too fast. So I've put the air brake on, and we're starting our descent. You can tell that I'm not an airline pilot because this would be one heck of a bumpy landing if it were anything like that. We might actually be slowing down too much now, so we'll take the air brake off. You can see the stall light was just starting to flash. We're still descending, but we're not descending super fast. That's good news. We don't want to be descending too fast. Just want to try and line ourselves up with the runway. It's not perfect alignment, but we're almost there. Okay, let's touch down. Nice, brakes on, engines off. I always say any landing where you don't die is a good landing.
Nice landing.
The computer agrees, but I've had plenty of landings also where it says nice landing and it was pretty dreadful. So it doesn't really tell the difference between a good landing and a bad landing. Let's go and see what the results of the mission were. It gives you a little debriefing after every mission. A little animation of you just giving the thumbs up. Okay, a mission rating of 390, that's not bad. 3 enemy aircraft shot down. And 5 ground installations. I often get 6 because if I'm taking all Maverick missiles, then I can use all 6 of them and take out a bunch of SAM radars and missile boats. But in this case, I felt I really should use the cluster bomb on that oil rig. I think sometimes you can use missiles on them, but I have had experiences where surface-to-surface missiles had to be taken out with cluster bombs. Okay, it's going to load up the mission debriefing screen. So pretty much what actually happened is replayed, so you can review it. That's where I took a hit by a missile. Not the best result. Oh, that last one must have missed. The Tomcat avoided it. Okay, and I managed to get away. Alright, I might get a medal for it, I might not. Let's see what happens. Oh, no medals for me today. Probably because I've already got a fair few of them. I made it back just barely. No way, man, you kicked them. This screen often has a little joke or two, or just a little sort of bit of banter between pilots and people on the ground. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it isn't. Okay, so that was a mission in the Microprose F-117a. I've got another pilot here. Lieutenant Gunadai. Okay, so I'll set him up with veteran opponents, and I've got him with the Lockheed F-117a. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna pick a different, riskier area. I've flown a few missions in Cold War. I think what we might do is actually, what I found was the Cold War setting, it had increased tension, but the military forces were on peacetime alert, so as long as you stayed stealthy, you didn't generally get shot at too much. So that wasn't actually really as risky as I thought it might be. The Persian Gulf isn't a bad area, but maybe what we could do is do something in Iraq, Desert Storm. We'll go and do a stealth strike mission in Desert Storm. We'll do it with conventional war, because that would be the way that the actual bombers did it back in the day. And we'll see if we can sneak in and blow something up and get out again. The one downside of this particular theatre is it could be possible to... Okay, that's interesting. I better stick with the payloads that are assigned to me for that. Yeah, you can actually end up having to land on the USS Roosevelt, so it's the aircraft carrier out there. In this case, I haven't been assigned landing on the aircraft carrier. So we'll have a look around. That SAM radar there is probably the most risky one for us. But this one here too is going to be a problem because of its radar range. It's probably going to cover our target area. So if I can use the same sort of weapons on both of those targets, then hopefully I'll be able to take some Mavericks as well to take out the SAM radars. Okay, so we've got rep guards. I think that'll be something like a cluster bomb. An air defense command, that's probably also going to be a bomb like a cluster bomb. Okay, so they're suggesting fuel air for both targets. So what I'll do is I'll take one load out of fuel air and one load out of Mavericks so that I can take out some SAM radars on the way. So hopefully that should make my flight a bit easier. Okay. Oh no, I can't actually take the Mavericks because they're not available. That's a great big pain in the ass. I can't even take the harm ones. Okay, this is an example of an occasion where the weapons have been restricted. Normally you can take Mavericks even on the Lockheed version of the F-117a. So what we might do is go back to the ready room and get ourselves another mission, because I don't like our odds of getting through that without actually being able to take out at least one SAM radar. It's not that I don't. It's not that I mind using the bombs, because that's fine. It's just the fact I can't take another weapon with me. Oh yeah, that's not a hazardous target to destroy at all. So a nuclear plant and an SA missile, and there's loads of SAM radars in that area. Okay, that could be a case of I need to use Mavericks there as well, but it's going to depend on what sort of bombs I have to use. It's got the Paveway and the cluster, and I know that the cluster is required for the missile launcher, so I have to use that, and I have to use the Paveway. So what I might do is drop one Paveway and one cluster on SAM sites along the way. Even though I would normally use a Maverick, I'll use that instead. That's really quite annoying. But that's sort of the limitation you have. It wouldn't have let me use the other missile anyway, so I suppose let's just take old Gunter out for a fly.
Cleared for takeoff.
Okay, let's go. Oh, engine sounds off. Okay, super fast flying mode until we get to somewhere where we can shoot at something. That's a heck of a lot of SAM radars up ahead there. I think my first target is amongst them on the right-hand side. I might actually even be between those two SAM radars, which will be fun. As I get closer, I'm going to have to gain some altitude so that I don't get destroyed by the bombs that I drop. So what I might do is drop one bomb over here on this SAM radar. And I assume that around here must also be the... Yeah, that's the nuclear plant there. So what we'll do is we'll drop our bomb on, like one on this one, then we'll come around and drop a bomb on the nuclear plant, and then we'll try to escape. And hopefully that'll reduce the number of missiles that can come at us. Now the Paveway Missile is a bit... Well, the Paveway bomb is a bit different to the cluster bomb. It is laser guided, so it does get a lock on its target. But you do have to be oriented in the right direction and pointed in the right way. Like you basically got to get your nose in that diamond, much like you do with a cluster bomb, except it's a little more accurate. Okay, we've got a decent lock. So what we're going to do now, we're going to find the nuclear plant, bank hard right to get a bombing run on it. I don't think we've been seen, but surely they're alerted to the fact that we're here. So we'll go and drop the bomb. You can see there's already a plane on its way here. Okay, we don't want to dive yet until the bomb is hit. Okay, we know that the
Primary target hit.
We know that we've hit our primary target. That was to be our secondary target or primary target in the mission we turned down. So let's get close to the ground to try to avoid a detection. And hopefully we can get away without being shot at. With this version of the plane, the Lockheed one, if everything goes well, hopefully you don't have any action at all and you don't get shot at all and you just drop your bombs and get out. I have played in the Desert Storm scenario with the Microprose F-117a, and because of its lack of stealth, it tends to get shot at a heck of a lot more, and so it's a fairly dangerous area for that plane. But it's much more doable for obviously the stealthy one. I'm pretty sure our secondary target is probably next to that SAM radar over there. So we'll drop a cluster bomb on this one, and hopefully we won't miss it with our last cluster bomb on the secondary target over there. We better gain some altitude or we're going to blow ourselves up. Sometimes it would be nice if the controls on the keyboard were a little bit more sensitive. I never owned a joystick back in the day, so that wasn't really an option for me. Okay. I've noticed we can get a lot closer to the enemy installations without being detected, which is only a good thing. We've got to be ready to drop our bombs. Almost. Okay. Okay, we got the radar. Okay, now we've got to manage to destroy the surface-to-air missile launcher. This is the target that you just can't use Maverick missiles on. Basically, the Maverick missile never hits these targets, so make sure that you use cluster bombs on them. Make sure we're ready to drop a bomb. Okay. Alright, all good. Now we should be able to get home and basically escape. So that's good news. So I suppose we'll go back into super fast flying mode until we get back to the airbase where we have to land.
Cleared to land. Nice landing.
Okay, yeah, that really wasn't the best landing I could have done. But I'm down, and we seem to have gotten away with basically blowing up stuff and not really being chased at all. In that sense, it's probably actually less fun to play the stealthier fighter, because you basically don't have it. If all goes well, you don't really have all that much interaction with the enemies. Okay. That's a decent performance rating considering I could only really blow up 4 installations. So gonna die, did okay. Pretty much a textbook mission. Oh, it's nice to get a medal. It's party time. Now, boys, let's wait till we get to the club. Do we have to? Well, I'm not sure that it really should be party time, but I suppose we got back alive, so that's something. Okay, so there we have it. We've played 2 missions. One with the Lockheed F-117a. In my opinion, I actually think that it's less exciting to play the Lockheed one because you're so much more stealthy. You don't really have anywhere near as much risk as, say, the Microprose F-117a. Although the Microprose F-117a has more weapons and the capability to shoot down aircraft, there are some circumstances where it basically can't go into because it's so easily detected and shot down compared to the Lockheed one. Yeah, so I quite enjoy this game. It's a bit of a shame I couldn't get the ad-lib sound to work. Basically what happened was in DOSBox the game would crash when it got to the part where you take off. So I had to use PC speaker, although I do find the PC speaker nostalgic and the ad-lib sound is better. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I think what I'll do is I'll add a recording of the cinematic introduction to the game in ad-lib speaker mode, because that part of the game did work, so you will get to hear the better sound that comes out of the ad-lib. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.